In the peaceful suburbs of Oregon, Michael Turner and Emma Turner live with their 3 sons, Ethan, Caleb, and Noah. To outsiders, they seem like the perfect American family. But behind closed doors, cracks begin to appear. Michael, lost in selfish desires, betrays Emma's trust and destroys the foundation of their marriage. In a cruel moment, he forces Emma and the boys out of their own home, leaving them with nothing but heartbreak. Alone, homeless, and betrayed, Emma must find the strength to survive and protect her sons. Their painful journey of struggle, love, and resilience is about to begin.
The sun had just begun to rise over the quiet neighborhoods of Portland, Oregon, painting the streets in soft amber light. Emma Turner stood in the kitchen, humming gently as she prepared breakfast. The aroma of pancakes filled the air, drifting through the hallway and into the small bedrooms where her sons were still tangled in dreams. To Emma, mornings like this were the heart of life. Simple, warm, predictable. She glanced at the family photos lined across the kitchen wall, years of memories frozen in time. There was one from their trip to Cannon Beach, where little Noah had been afraid of the waves. Ethan, already tall at 12, had thrown an arm around his younger brothers, promising he'd protect them. Caleb, the middle son, laughed with a bucket full of seashells in his hands. But the biggest smile in that picture belonged to Michael Turner, Emma's husband. His arms wrapped around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. His bright blue eyes shimmered with a promise Emma believed would last forever. She didn't know that very soon that promise would become nothing more than a lie. "Mom, is breakfast ready?" Caleb's voice broke her thoughts. "Almost," she called back, flipping the last pancake. Ethan and Noah appeared next, both rubbing their eyes. Noah, the youngest, at 8, climbed into his usual chair, watching his mother with quiet admiration. Ethan, already responsible beyond his years, set the table without being asked. As they sat to eat, the house felt alive with laughter. Emma lived for these moments. Her boys were her world. But Michael had become a mystery. He walked into the kitchen 15 minutes later, dressed sharply for work in a navy blue shirt and polished shoes. He barely glanced at his family. His phone buzzed continuously in his hand, and Emma noticed the familiar heaviness in his eyes. Distance, distraction, a silence she could no longer understand. "Morning," she said softly. "Yeah," he muttered. The boys fell silent. They weren't used to this cold version of their father. Months ago, he would lift Noah onto his shoulders, tease Caleb about his messy hair, or challenge Ethan to a race down the stairs. Now, he barely cared enough to look at them. Emma placed a plate in front of him. He didn't touch it. "You're not eating?" "No time. I have work," Michael said, eyes still glued to his screen. He grabbed his keys and walked out, leaving behind the smell of pancakes and a lingering sense of emptiness. No kiss, no goodbye, no warmth. Just a door closing too hard. Emma stared at the empty doorway, a chill creeping over her. Something inside her whispered that this was the beginning of a storm she couldn't avoid. The boys looked at her, worried but trying to hide it. "Mom?" Ethan asked gently. "Is Dad okay?" Emma forced a smile even though her heart ached. "He's just busy." But all 3 sons knew what she didn't say. He wasn't busy. He was slipping away, and their family was slipping with him. That morning, Emma washed the dishes quietly, staring out the window as Michael's car disappeared down the street. She didn't know where he truly went. She didn't know who he spoke to. She didn't know why the man she loved had become a stranger. But soon, painfully soon, she would. And when the truth came out, it wouldn't just break her heart. It would destroy everything she had built. Their home, their peace, their family. This was the day before the tragedy, the last day before everything fell apart. The last day they were still a family. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the Turner home, stretching over the living room floor like dark fingers, reaching for something unseen. Emma sat on the couch, sewing a button back onto Noah's shirt. The boys were playing outside, chasing each other with the loud, carefree laughter only children possess. But Emma's heart was not at peace. Michael had been coming home late for months. He barely spoke. He avoided eye contact. He slept facing the opposite side of the bed. Love had become distance. Warmth had become cold silence. Emma tried everything, cooking his favorite meals, leaving gentle notes in his car, asking him softly if something was wrong. But the more she tried to pull him in, the more he drifted away, like a ship determined to disappear into fog. Today, though, something felt different. Her phone buzzed. A message from her friend, Lily Carter, someone who lived near Michael's office. "Emma, I think you need to see something." Emma's heart tightened. Her fingertips trembled as she typed back. "What is it?" The reply came with a photo that made Emma's breath freeze in her chest. There was Michael, her husband, the father of her children, standing outside a restaurant. But he wasn't alone. His hand was gently brushing the hair of a woman Emma had never seen before. The woman leaned into him with a smile of familiarity, comfort, affection. Emma's vision blurred. Her chest burned as if someone had struck her with a heavy stone. No, this can't be real. This must be a misunderstanding. The phone slipped from her shaking hands onto the couch. She tried to breathe, but each breath felt like broken glass inside her lungs. Just then, the front door creaked open. Michael walked in. He looked surprised to see her staring at him, eyes wide, face pale. "Emma, what's wrong?" he asked, his voice strangely calm. She swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. "Michael, where were you?" He hesitated. A small, almost invisible hesitation. But she saw it. She felt it. "He told you. Meetings. Work. It's been a long day." Emma's eyes filled with tears as she pointed to the phone lying beside her. "You weren't at work." The words hung heavy in the room. Michael's jaw tightened, anger flashing in his eyes. Not guilt, not shame, but anger. "Who's been spying on me?" he snapped. Her heart shattered a little more. "You're cheating on me, aren't you?" Silence. A silence so loud it felt like thunder. He didn't deny it. He didn't rush to explain. He didn't even look sorry. Instead, he ran his hand through his hair and let out a cold, tired sigh. "Emma, our marriage hasn't been working for a long time. You know that." Her breath caught. "No, Michael. That's not true. We were fine." "No," he cut her off sharply. "You were fine. I wasn't." He walked past her, loosening his tie, his voice calm, too calm. "I found someone else who understands me better, someone who doesn't make life feel like a burden." A tear rolled down her cheek. A burden. Is that what I am to you? Michael didn't answer. He walked into the bedroom and began packing a small bag. Emma followed, trembling. "What about the kids?" she whispered. Michael zipped the bag shut. "They'll be fine." "You're their sons," she cried. He didn't even look at her. "I need space. I'll figure things out later." A cold shock ran through her. "Space? Michael, you can't just leave your family like this." But he pushed past her, brushing her shoulder as if she were nothing but air. He walked out of the house, out of her life, out of the lives of the children who adored him. Emma fell to her knees, tears pouring silently onto the carpet. Her heart felt crushed, her chest empty. The boys came running inside moments later, their laughter fading when they saw their mother crying. "Mom?" Ethan whispered. Noah clung to her arm. Caleb stared at the front door, confused and scared. Emma wiped her tears and forced herself to breathe. "It's okay," she whispered, though she felt anything but okay. But this pain, this betrayal, this was only the beginning. She didn't know yet that the storm was about to get far worse, far more cruel, and far more heartbreaking.
The next morning arrived heavy and gray, as if the sky itself felt the weight of Emma's heartbreak. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that photo, Michael with another woman, smiling in a way he hadn't smiled at her in years. Her sons slept curled beside her on the living room couch, Ethan holding Noah protectively, Caleb clutching a blanket like a lifeline. They didn't understand everything, but they understood enough. Their father had walked away. Just after sunrise, Emma heard the front door unlock. Michael walked in. Not with guilt, not with regret, but with a chilling determination. "Emma, get up," he said stiffly. She stood slowly, her voice raw. "Michael, where were you last night?" "I stayed with her," he said plainly, "and I've made a decision." Emma's heart froze. "What decision?" Michael crossed his arms. "You and the kids need to leave the house." Emma gasped, stepping back as if struck. "What? Michael, this is our home." "My home," he corrected coldly. "My name is on everything. I pay for everything, and I don't want you here anymore." Her breath caught in her throat. The boys had woken up and were staring, wide-eyed and terrified. Ethan's voice cracked. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Michael didn't even look at his sons. "I'm moving forward with my life. Emma can figure things out on her own." Noah began crying, running toward his father, but Michael stepped aside, ignoring him. Emma scooped Noah into her arms, trying to calm him while her own heart tore apart. "Michael, please," she whispered. "We have nowhere to go." "That's not my problem. You'll figure it out. You always do." Ethan clenched his fists. "You can't kick us out. We're your family." Michael finally looked at him, but his eyes were cold, empty. "I've made my decision." Caleb's voice trembled. "Dad, we didn't do anything wrong." Michael remained silent. Emma felt her legs weaken. "Michael, at least let the kids stay. Punish me if you want, but not them." He shook his head. "No, all of you need to go. Today." Emma's world collapsed. She stood in the middle of their living room, a place filled with birthdays, holidays, laughter, first steps, memories that now felt poisoned. Michael pulled out a suitcase and dropped it at her feet. "You have 2 hours," he said. "Then I want you gone." He turned and walked to the bedroom to collect more of his things, leaving Emma and the kids frozen in horror. Noah sobbed uncontrollably. Caleb stared blankly at the floor,
Ethan pulled his brothers close, trying to be strong even though tears streamed down his cheeks. "Mom, what do we do?" Ethan whispered. Emma wiped her tears with shaking hands. "We pack," she said softly, her voice breaking. "We'll be okay. I promise." She didn't know where they would go. She didn't know how they would survive. She didn't know what the future held. But she knew one thing: she would not let her children fall. She packed the boys' clothes, their school books, their toothbrushes. She took a few family photos, the ones Michael hadn't destroyed with his choices. She packed with trembling hands, each item a reminder of the family she thought she had. When the 2 hours passed, Michael returned to the living room. "Are you done?" he asked. Emma nodded weakly, clutching Noah's hand tightly. Michael opened the front door. "Good," he said. "Leave the keys on the counter." Emma set them down slowly, every motion feeling like a goodbye to her entire life. Ethan lifted our only suitcase. Caleb carried a small bag. Emma held Noah's hand. Together, they stepped outside. Michael didn't say goodbye. He didn't apologize. He didn't look at his children even once. He simply closed the door behind them, locking them out of their own lives. The cold morning air bit at their skin, but nothing compared to the coldness inside their hearts. Emma stood on the sidewalk with tears streaming silently down her face. Her sons gathered around her, hugging her tightly. "Mom, don't cry," little Noah whispered. "We have you. That's enough." Emma knelt and hugged all three of them, letting her tears fall freely. From this moment onward, they had no home, no security, no father, only each other. This was the beginning of their darkest journey, a journey of survival, heartbreak, and unbreakable love.
Cold wind brushed against Emma's face as she walked down the Oregon sidewalk with her 3 sons. Their single suitcase rolled unevenly over the cracked pavement. Every step away from the house felt like a step into a world she wasn't prepared for. Ethan walked beside her, shoulders straight but eyes red. Caleb followed quietly, gripping his backpack straps with trembling hands. Noah held Emma's hand so tightly it almost hurt, but she welcomed the pressure. It reminded her she wasn't alone. She still had her boys. They were her strength, even in this moment of despair. "Mom, where are we going?" Noah asked softly. Emma swallowed hard. "I don't know yet, baby, but we'll find a safe place." She was lying. She had no idea where they would sleep tonight, or what they would eat, or how she would protect her sons from the world that had suddenly become so cruel. Her mind raced. She had no car. Michael kept it. She had no savings. Michael controlled their bank accounts. She had no home. Michael forced them out. But Emma had one thing he could never take: her courage. She led her boys to a small public park a few blocks away. The trees swayed, their branches whispering like ghosts of better days. Emma sat on a bench and held her face in her hands for a moment, trying not to break down again. Ethan sat beside her, speaking in a shaky voice. "Mom, you don't have to pretend. I know you're scared, but we'll get through this. I'll help you, I promise." Emma looked at him, her oldest son, only 12, but already carrying the weight of a man. "Thank you, sweetheart," she whispered, brushing a tear from his cheek. Caleb came close, leaning his head on her shoulder. "We can sleep at the park, right? Just for tonight?" Emotions stabbed her heart. "No, honey, I'll find somewhere. I won't let you sleep outside." But as the sun dipped toward the horizon, she knew they were running out of time. She pulled out her phone, cracked, old, but still working, and began searching for shelters. Every number she called gave her the same answer: "We're full. No space for a family of 4. Try again tomorrow." Tears filled her eyes. No home, no help, nowhere to go. She glanced at her sons, tired, hungry, scared, trying to be brave. Then her phone buzzed. A message from Lily, the friend who had shown her the photo. "Emma, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Do you need somewhere to stay?" Emma typed back quickly. "Yes, please, we have nowhere." Lily replied instantly. "Come to my place, I'll send the address." Emma exhaled shakily, a small spark of hope lighting inside her. "We have somewhere to go," she told the boys softly. Their faces brightened, even Noah's tear-stained cheeks lifted with a small smile. The walk to Lily's apartment wasn't easy. Their feet were aching, their stomachs empty, and the sky slowly darkened over them. But knowing they were heading toward safety gave them strength. When they finally reached the old brick apartment building, Lily was already outside waiting. She rushed toward Emma and pulled her into a tight hug. "Oh, Emma, look at you. Look at the boys. I'm so sorry." Emma burst into tears in her friend's arms, the pain pouring out of her like rain. Lily knelt to hug the kids. "You boys are safe here. Come inside." She led them into her small but warm apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it felt like heaven compared to the cold streets outside. She set out bowls of warm soup and fresh bread. Noah ate quickly, tears streaming while he chewed. Caleb whispered a quiet "thank you" before eating. Ethan ate silently, staring at the table, trying not to cry. Lily placed a comforting hand on Emma's shoulder. "You can stay here as long as you need." Emma looked at her friend, gratitude shaking her voice. "Thank you. I don't know what we would have done." "That man has no heart. But you're strong, Emma, and you will rise. I know it." Later, Lily prepared blankets on the living room floor for the boys. Emma sat beside them until they fell asleep one by one. Noah curled up under his blanket, whispering, "Mom, don't let Dad take us away again." Emma stroked his hair. "I won't. I promise." When her sons were asleep, Emma stepped into the small kitchen. The weight of everything settled on her at once. Her marriage was over, her home was gone, her future was uncertain. She leaned over the counter, gripping its edge as silent tears fell. But deep inside her heart, a fire was growing. A determination, a promise, a strength she never knew she had. She would raise her sons, she would rebuild their life, she would survive. Tonight had broken her, but tomorrow would not. Emma woke before dawn, her eyes swollen from crying, her body stiff from sleeping on the floor beside her children. The dim apartment was quiet. Only the soft breathing of her sons filled the silence. She watched them sleep, Ethan with one arm protectively over Caleb and Noah, Caleb curled tightly under his blanket, Noah hugging a pillow like it was a lifeline. Her heart cracked all over again. They didn't deserve this. They didn't deserve pain. They didn't deserve a father who could abandon them so easily. Emma gently brushed a strand of hair from Ethan's forehead. "You're so strong," she whispered. But inside, she felt weak, lost, terrified. She wasn't just a mother anymore. She was the only parent, the only protector, the only hope her boys had, and she couldn't fail them. Lily entered the room quietly, carrying 2 steaming mugs of tea. "You didn't sleep much," Lily said softly. Emma shook her head. "No, I kept thinking about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to take care of them, where we'll go, how we'll live." Lily sat beside her. "Emma, listen to me," she said firmly. "You're not alone. I'm here, and you will get through this." Emma stared at the floor. "He kicked us out, Lily. His own children. What kind of man does that? A coward. A selfish man who didn't deserve you." Emma didn't argue. She knew Lily was right. Still, the weight of everything pressed on her chest. "I need to find a job. Something stable. Something that will give the boys a chance." "You will," Lily said. "I'll help you look today. We'll find something." Emma nodded, though she felt anything but confident.
After a few minutes, the boys began to stir. Noah rubbed his eyes, confused for a moment, until he remembered where he was. He sat up and crawled into Emma's arms. "Mom, can we go home today?" Emma swallowed the lump in her throat. "Honey, this is our home for now, until we find something better." Caleb looked around quietly. "Mom, is Dad even thinking about us?" Emma didn't know how to answer, but she refused to lie. "I don't know," she whispered. Ethan clenched his jaw. "He doesn't care. If he cared, we wouldn't be here." Emma held her sons close. "I care, and I always will." She decided right then that she would not let Michael's cruelty define their future. She would rebuild. She would rise. She would create a life for her sons stronger than anything they had lost. Later that morning, Lily helped Emma search for jobs. They made a list. Cafes, stores, cleaning services, offices, any place that might give her a chance. Emma felt scared, but every time she hesitated, she pictured her son sleeping on a stranger's floor, scared and homeless. And that fear gave her courage. She washed her face, tied her hair back, borrowed a clean blouse from Lily, and stood in front of the mirror. Her reflection looked different. There was sadness, yes, pain, absolutely, but beneath it all was a new fire, a mother's fire, a strength born from love. Lily handed her a small notebook. "Write down every place you go. You're doing this, Emma, one step at a time." Emma nodded and hugged her friend. "Thank you for everything." "You do the same for me," Lily said with a smile. "Now go. Show the world who you are." Emma took a deep breath. She kissed her sons' heads, promised she'd be back soon, and stepped outside. The cold air bit her cheeks, but she didn't flinch. Today was the first day of the rest of their lives. The first day she fought back. The first day she refused to break. The world had pushed her down, but she was standing again. And she wasn't standing for herself. She was standing for Ethan, Caleb, and Noah. No matter how hard the road ahead would be, she would walk it. Because a mother's love doesn't end with heartbreak. It begins there.
Emma stepped into the chilly morning air, her borrowed blouse fluttering slightly in the breeze. The streets of Portland were beginning to wake. Cars humming, coffee shop doors opening, pedestrians hurrying to work. To them, it was an ordinary day. To Emma, it was the beginning of a new life. She clutched the notebook Lily had given her, the edges already worn from her nervous grip. Every step felt heavy, every breath tight, but she forced herself forward. Her boys were counting on her. Failure was no longer an option. She took a deep breath and walked into the first cafe on her list. A warm smell of roasted coffee filled the air, and customers lined up at the counter. Emma approached the manager, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a tired smile. "Can I help you?" the woman asked. "Yes," Emma said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I'm looking for work. Anything you might have available." The manager looked her up and down, eyes softening slightly. "You have experience?" "Yes," she said quickly. "I used to work before I had kids. Customer service, cashier work, cleaning. I learn fast. I can do anything." The manager sighed. "We're fully staffed right now. I'm sorry." Emma nodded politely. "Thank you for your time." She walked out, her chest tightening, but she didn't give up. She visited 3 more cafes, 2 clothing stores, a small bakery, a cleaning company office, then another bakery, another cafe, another convenience store. Every answer was the same. "We're not hiring. Try again in a few weeks. We only want full-time employees with experience." By noon, her feet were blistered. Her stomach was empty. Her hope felt thin. She sat on a bench outside a small convenience store, rubbing her cold hands together. The weight of exhaustion pressed down on her shoulders. For a moment, she felt the urge to cry, to collapse, to give in, to admit defeat. But then she saw something that gave her strength. Across the street,
A little boy about Noah's age was walking with his mother, holding her hand tightly. Emma's eyes softened. She thought of her own sons, waiting for her at Lily's apartment, trusting her, depending on her. She whispered to herself, "I won't fail them. I can't." With renewed determination, she stood up and approached the next place on her list, a small, family-owned diner with a faded sign that read, Marlin's Kitchen. Inside, the place was warm and smelled of fresh pie and fried eggs. A man in his late 50s, stocky, with kind eyes and gray hair tied back in a ponytail, stood behind the counter wiping down coffee mugs. "Good afternoon," he said cheerfully. "What can I get for you?" Emma took a breath. "I'm actually looking for work, even part-time, anything." The man paused, studying her face more deeply than the others had. Not judging, understanding. "You got experience?" "Some," she said honestly, "but I'm willing to learn whatever I need to." He crossed his arms, thinking. "We've been short a waitress since last week." Hope sparked inside her chest. "I can do it," she said quickly. "I can start today, even now." He chuckled softly. "Slow down. What's your name?" "Emma," she said. "Emma Turner." "I'm Marlon Jenkins, owner. Let me be straight with you. The pay is small. The work can be stressful. We get rushes during lunch and dinner. But if you're willing to try—" "I am," she said firmly. "I'll work as hard as I have to." Marlon nodded slowly. "We'll start you on a trial shift tomorrow. If you do well, the job's yours." Emma's eyes filled with tears, but this time, tears of relief. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." He smiled warmly. "Everyone deserves a chance. See you at 9 a.m. tomorrow." Emma walked out of the diner with trembling hands, holding back sobs of gratitude. Her legs felt weak, not from exhaustion, but from the overwhelming relief of finally catching a break. She didn't just find a job, she found hope. On her way back to Lily's apartment, she imagined telling her boys. She imagined Ethan's proud smile, Caleb's hug, Noah cheering happily. She smiled for the first time since the nightmare began. When she opened the apartment door, her sons ran to her instantly. "Mom, did you find something?" Ethan asked anxiously. Emma knelt down and wrapped her arms around all three of them. "Yes," she said, tears running down her face. "I got a job." Noah jumped up happily. Caleb hugged her waist tightly. Ethan's eyes softened with pride. Emma kissed their foreheads. "This is our new beginning. Things are going to get better, I promise." And for the first time since being thrown out of their home, Emma believed that promise.
The storm had passed, but the sky still held its breath. A thin mist clung to the blackened trees as Mira stepped over the last fallen trunk, her boots sinking into the soft, charred earth. The village of Eastridge, or what had once been Eastridge, lay silent behind her. She didn't look back. There was nothing left to see. "Are you sure this is where it fell?" Jalen asked, brushing soot from his sleeve. Mira nodded. The visions weren't wrong. The star shard came down somewhere in this grove. She tried to keep her voice steady, but the truth pressed against her ribs. If the shard had caused this destruction, then its power was far greater and far more dangerous than the legends claimed. A faint pulse rippled beneath her feet. "There," she whispered. Jalen knelt, sweeping aside ash until metal glinted through the dust. Not the smooth silver of a fragment from the stars, but something man-made, something ancient. Together they cleared the earth until the outline emerged fully. A circular hatch covered in runic spirals. Mira's heart pounded. This wasn't just a fallen fragment. This was a door. "What do you think is down there?" Jalen asked. "Answers, or ruin." She pressed her palm against the center symbol. At her touch, the runes pulsed like embers catching breath. Mechanisms groaned beneath the surface. The hatch split open with a plume of cold air, revealing a descending spiral staircase lit by a pale blue glow.
Jalen exhaled. Well, that's inviting. Mira tightened her grip on the hilt of her blade. We go together, and we don't touch anything unless we understand it. They descended carefully. The air grew colder, the blue light brighter. Symbols lined the walls, the same as those carved onto the stones her grandmother once guarded, the symbols the Order had sworn to protect. At the bottom, the staircase opened into a vast chamber. Floating above a pedestal, humming with a slow, rhythmic pulse, hovered the star shard. But it wasn't alone. A figure stood beside it, wrapped in gray cloth, as motionless as a statue. Only when Mira breathed did the figure turn, slowly, deliberately, revealing eyes that glowed the same blue as the shard itself. "I was wondering," the figure said, voice echoing unnaturally, "how long it would take for the last of your bloodline to arrive." Mira froze. Jalen reached for his dagger. The figure raised a hand. "Put it away. None of us are leaving this place by force." The chamber vibrated, as if agreeing. Mira swallowed. "Who are you?" "A guardian, a survivor, and," the figure tilted its head, "the one who has been waiting to tell you what your visions truly mean." The shard pulsed brighter. Mira stepped forward, knowing the next words might reshape everything she believed. "I'm listening."
Mira's breath echoed in the chamber, mingling with the soft hum of the star shard. The figure in gray cloth didn't move, only watched her with those unnervingly glowing eyes. Jalen gripped his dagger tighter, ready for anything, though Mira signaled him to hold back. "You have questions," the guardian said. The voice was calm, almost gentle, yet it carried a weight that made Mira's stomach twist. "And I will answer, but first, you must understand what brought you here." Mira took a cautious step forward. "Why me? Why now? And what is this star shard?" The figure's eyes glowed brighter, illuminating the chamber's runes. The star shard is not simply a fragment of a fallen star, it is a vessel of memory, a keeper of ancient power. Many sought it over the centuries, but only your bloodline can awaken it fully. Jalen gripped his dagger tighter, ready for anything, though Mira signaled him to hold back. "Wait, what bloodline? Mira, are they saying what I think they're saying?" Mira's jaw tightened. "I think they're saying my family was chosen for this." The guardian nodded slowly. "Chosen is one word, bound is another. Your ancestors made a pact with the star shard. They protected its secret, passing it down through your bloodline, waiting for the day someone would arrive to finish what was started." Mira's head spun. Protect it from what? From whom? The figure's glowing eyes swept over her. "From those who crave power without understanding, from those who would destroy the world rather than protect it. The star shard does not choose lightly, and it does not forgive recklessness." The shard pulsed, a steady heartbeat of blue light that seemed to sync with Mira's own pulse. She felt a strange connection to it, like it was calling her, testing her resolve. I don't understand," she whispered. "Why now? Why me?" "Because the world is shifting, and the shard senses the imbalance. Forces you cannot yet see are already moving. You are the final key. If you fail, everything your ancestors protected will be lost." Jalen shifted uneasily. "So we're basically stuck in some ancient prophecy?" "Yes. But more than that, you have a choice. Step forward, embrace your role, and unlock the power within, or turn away and watch as chaos spreads unchecked." Mira felt the weight of every word pressing down on her. The room was silent,
save for the shard's hum. She glanced at Jalen, whose eyes were wide but trusting. Her heart pounded. The blood of her ancestors thrummed within her veins. And in that moment, she realized she couldn't run. Not anymore. Slowly, she stepped toward the pedestal. The shard's glow intensified, reflecting in her eyes, warming her hands with its energy. She felt a strange pull, like threads of her past and future were weaving together. The guardian's voice was quiet now, almost a whisper. "Reach for it, Mira. It is yours. But remember, every power has a price." Mira lifted her hand. Her fingers trembled as they hovered over the shard. The chamber held its breath. Blue light washed over her face, searing through every doubt, every fear. And then, the shard responded. Energy surged through her body. Memories she had never lived flashed before her eyes. Images of her ancestors, battles fought, secrets kept, and sacrifices made. Knowledge of the world's hidden magic and dangers filled her mind in an instant. Jalen stepped back, shielding his eyes from the brilliance. Mira gasped, a mixture of awe and terror flooding her senses. And in that moment, she knew nothing would ever be the same again. The star shard had awakened, and so had she. The blue light of the star shard faded slowly, leaving the chamber dim but still alive with a faint hum. Mira staggered slightly, the energy coursing through her body still thrumming like a second heartbeat. She could feel it: power, knowledge, and something deeper: responsibility. Every cell in her body seemed alive, connected to something vast and ancient. Jalen stepped closer, eyes wide. "Mira, are you okay?" I think so," she whispered, still trembling. "But I can feel it, inside me. The shard, it's like it's part of me now." The guardian in gray cloth observed silently, nodding slowly. "Yes, the bond is complete, but this is only the beginning. The shard's awakening has consequences. Forces in the world are already shifting. Shadows you cannot yet see will move against you." Mira swallowed, trying to steady her voice. "I don't understand. What can I do with it? How do I control it?" "You learn, you train, and you protect it, as your ancestors did. But beware, the more you use it, the more you reveal yourself to those who seek its power, and some of them will not hesitate to destroy everything to claim it." The chamber pulsed faintly, and Mira could feel the energy responding to her thoughts. A flicker of light shot from her hands as she raised them, almost instinctively. Images, memories, strategies, battles flashed in her mind. The shard showed her glimpses of a world beyond the forest. Armies rising, dark figures moving in shadows, magic twisted for cruelty. Jalen stepped forward cautiously. "Mira, maybe you shouldn't do that too much yet. We don't know what it can—" "Too late," Mira whispered, her voice firm but awestruck. She raised her hands again, letting the energy flow through her. A circle of shimmering light formed around her, runes dancing in the air as if the chamber itself had come alive. The guardian's eyes glowed brighter. "Good. You are learning faster than most. But remember, power is not just strength. It is patience, wisdom, and restraint." Mira took a deep breath, trying to calm the torrent inside her. "I don't want to hurt anyone. Not Jalen, not anyone. I just want to protect people. Protect this world." The guardian inclined its head. "Then you will be tested. Soon, your resolve will face a trial unlike any your ancestors endured. And when that time comes, only those who understand the weight of power will survive." Outside the chamber, a shadow moved among the trees, silent, watching. The awakening of the shard had been noticed. Eyes long hidden in darkness had been waiting for this moment. Mira's chest tightened as she lowered her hands, still glowing faintly from the shard's energy. She looked at Jalen.
We need to be ready. Something is coming, and it's not going to be easy. Jalen nodded, determination hardening his features. Then we'll face it together. Whatever it is, we'll face it. The guardian stepped back, fading slightly into the shadows of the chamber. Go, prepare, learn. The first threat approaches faster than you imagine. Trust in your bloodline, Mira Turner, but trust yourself even more. You are the final hope. Mira clenched her fists, feeling the shard's power thrumming in her veins. She glanced at Jalen. We have to train. We can't wait. They'll come for the shard, and they won't stop until they have it. Outside the chamber, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it a promise of danger, of challenge, and of battles yet to come. The awakening was complete, and now the fight for the Star Shard had truly begun.
The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Mira and Jalen moved cautiously through the misty trees, the blue glow of the Star Shard faintly visible beneath her cloak. Mira's hands itched with the energy still pulsing inside her. Every instinct told her that danger was near, and the Guardian's warning echoed in her mind. The first threat approaches faster than you imagine. Jalen paused and lowered his hood. Mira, I don't like this. It's too silent. Even the birds are gone. Mira nodded, her eyes scanning the shadows. They know we're here. The shard, it has already alerted them. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught her attention, a figure darting behind a thick tree trunk. Another shadow moved in the periphery of her vision. Her heart raced, but she focused, channeling the shard's energy. The air around her hands shimmered faintly, as though reacting to her fear and determination. "Show yourself," she called, her voice firm. From the mist emerged 3 figures cloaked in dark, tattered robes. Their eyes glowed faintly red, and their hands crackled with a strange, dark energy. Mira's stomach tightened. "They're like nothing I've ever seen," Jalen whispered. The lead figure stepped forward. "Mira Turner," it hissed, voice echoing unnaturally through the forest. "The shard has chosen poorly. Hand it over, and we may spare your companions." Mira's grip on the shard under her cloak tightened. "Never," she said. "I won't let you touch it. Ever." The figure laughed, a sound that made the air vibrate. "Bold. Foolish. Your bloodline is weak. You have no idea what's coming." With a flick of its hand, the shadowy figures attacked. Dark energy lashed toward Mira like whips. She raised her hands instinctively, and the shard's power flared, creating a protective barrier of blue light that deflected the attacks. Sparks of dark energy collided with the light, illuminating the misty forest in harsh flashes. Jalen drew his dagger, moving beside her. "Mira, I'll cover you." The first shadow lunged at him, its speed unnatural. Jalen slashed with his dagger, but it passed through the figure as if it were smoke. The air grew thick, heavy with energy. Mira realized the shard would have to do more than protect. They would have to fight back. Summoning courage, Mira raised both hands. The shard glowed brighter, energy spilling out like waves. The shadows shrieked as the light struck them, forcing them back several steps. Trees around them trembled under the force of the surge. "You can't win," the lead figure shouted. "The shard belongs to us." "I will never let that happen," Mira shouted back. With a sudden motion, she released a concentrated pulse of energy, sending the 3 figures crashing into the trees. They writhed, hissing and clawing at the air before vanishing into the mist. For a moment, silence returned. The forest was still. Mira's hands trembled from the exertion, and her chest ached. But the relief was sharp. Jalen stepped closer, eyes wide. "Mira, that was amazing. I've never seen anything like that." Mira exhaled, trying to calm herself. "It's only the beginning. They'll be back, and next time, they'll be stronger, smarter." Jalen put a hand on her shoulder.
Then we train, and we prepare. We won't be caught off guard again. Mira nodded, determination hardening. The forest seemed darker now, more ominous, but she no longer felt afraid. The shard's powers surged within her, and with it came a promise. You are ready. The shadows had come, and the real battle had only just begun.
The morning sun filtered through the trees, casting long, golden rays across the clearing. Mira stood at the center, the star shard hovering just above her palms, its blue glow steady and calm. Jalen watched from a few feet away, alert but careful to give her space. "This is it," Mira said quietly. "If I can't control this power, we won't survive the next attack." The Guardian's voice echoed softly in her memory. Power is not just strength. It is patience, wisdom, and restraint. Mira took a deep breath, steadying herself. She extended her hands, willing the shard's energy to respond. Tiny sparks of light flickered round her fingertips. Slowly, deliberately, she wove the energy into small arcs, feeling it pulse with every heartbeat. The shard was alive, almost sentient, as if testing her resolve. "Good," she murmured. "Good, I can feel it." Jalen stepped closer, holding a wooden practice staff. "Let me help," he offered. "If you can shape it into something you can defend with, we'll be ready when they come back." Mira nodded and focused. She extended the shard's energy outward, forming a shimmering shield in front of her. At first, it wavered, flickering like candlelight in a breeze, but with concentration, it solidified into a steady dome of blue energy. "Perfect," Jalen exclaimed. "Now try moving it. Rotate it around your body, make it protect from all sides." She obeyed, feeling the energy stretch and bend with her movements. Each motion sent ripples of power across the clearing. Trees swayed slightly, their leaves glittering with tiny sparks as if recognizing the shard's awakening. Hours passed like minutes. Mira learned to push the energy outward, retracted and molded into different shapes. Small bursts of light became arrows she could launch. Gentle waves could push objects, and defensive barriers could block multiple attacks at once. But then came fatigue. Mira's arms trembled, her body ached, and her mind buzzed from the constant connection to the shard. She sank to her knees, struggling to breathe. Jalen knelt beside her. "You're doing amazing, but maybe take a break?" Mira shook her head stubbornly. "I can't. They'll come back, and next time I want to be ready." A flicker of movement in the distance caught their attention. Mira froze. A shadow, familiar yet distorted, hovered between the trees. The same red glowing eyes from the previous attack. "They're back," Jalen whispered. Mira rose slowly, raising her hands. The shard's energy pulsed, responding to her fear and determination. "Then let's see what we've learned," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The shadow approached, testing her defenses. Mira projected a defensive barrier which absorbed its first strike effortlessly. The second strike came faster, but Mira twisted and released a pulse of energy, sending it skidding backward into the undergrowth. Jalen joined in, using his staff to block and parry, working in tandem with Mira's energy. Together, they forced the shadow back until it retreated, leaving behind a faint whisper in the wind. "This isn't over. We will return." Mira's chest heaved as the last vestige of fear dissolved into determination. She turned to Jalen. "We can do this," she said firmly. "We will do this. I'll control the shard, and we'll fight. They won't take it from us." Jalen smiled, a mixture of relief and admiration on his face. "I believe you, and I'll stand by you, every step." Mira closed her eyes, letting the shard's energy calm her. This was more than training. It was awakening. She was no longer the hesitant girl who had stumbled into the chamber. She was becoming something greater, a protector, a warrior bound by legacy, ready to face the coming storm. The shadows were coming, And when they did, Mira Turner would be ready. The morning mist clung to the forest like a ghostly veil as Mira practiced alone, the shard's blue glow illuminating her every movement. Jalen watched from a distance, noting how she no longer hesitated, how the energy bent and twisted to her will with increasing precision. "You're improving faster than I expected," Jalen said, shading his eyes from the shimmering light. Mira paused, breathing heavily. "I have to. They won't stop, and if I can control more, maybe I can protect more people." The shard pulsed in her hands, and as she focused, something new happened. Tiny threads of energy lifted into the air, weaving together to form shapes, visions almost, like memories. Mira gasped. She saw glimpses of battles she hadn't fought yet, enemies she hadn't met, and cities under siege by dark forces. "They're showing me things," she whispered. "Future possibilities." Jalen frowned. "Be careful. Visions can mislead as easily as they teach." Mira nodded, eyes fixed on the swirling images. One vision stood out. A dark tower, surrounded by jagged shadows, with figures cloaked in red energy moving inside. And in the center, a masked figure holding a shard-like crystal, pulsing with the same rhythm as Mira's star shard. "That's them," she said, voice trembling. "That's who's coming for us." Suddenly, the Guardian's words echoed in her mind. "Every power has a price. Every gift attracts the darkness." She realized the shard wasn't just a weapon, it was a beacon. Its awakening had drawn the attention of a far greater force, one that had been waiting patiently in the shadows. Jalen approached, his expression grim. "We need a plan. You can fight, yes, but they're organized. They know what they want." Mira clenched her fists. "Then we find them first. If we understand their plan, we can counter it. The visions, the shard is showing me clues." The energy around her shifted again, forming a map-like projection in the air. She could see paths, hidden passages, and potential ambushes. Every pulse of the shard sharpened her instincts. "They're spreading. They're gathering forces, testing boundaries. I can feel it in the shard, like it's reacting to every movement they make." Jalen's jaw tightened. "Then we have to move quickly. Train, scout, and prepare. If they're planning an attack, we need to be ready to strike first." Mira nodded. "I'll train harder. I'll push the shard further, discover abilities I didn't know I had, and when they come, we'll meet them head-on." The forest seemed quieter now, almost holding its breath. But Mira felt alive in a way she had never imagined, connected to something ancient, powerful, and dangerous. She raised the shard again, energy spilling from her hands into the air like a river of light. She tested new shapes, new attacks, and defensive techniques. Each surge left her exhausted, but stronger, more in tune with the shard's rhythm. As night fell, the shadows moved beyond the forest, gathering, plotting. Mira knew it was only a matter of time before they struck. But she was no longer the frightened girl who had stumbled into the chamber. She was the protector, the warrior of the star shard, and she would face whatever darkness came for her, no matter the cost. Outside the forest, hidden eyes glimmered in the dark. The enemy had seen the shard's awakening, and their plans were accelerating. The final battle was approaching faster than anyone realized. Mira Turner was ready, and they would soon learn that power alone could not define her, but her resolve could. The forest was darker than usual that evening, shadows stretching unnaturally across the path as Mira and Jalen made their way back to the clearing. The shard pulsed faintly beneath Mira's cloak, almost like a heartbeat warning her of what was coming. "I don't like this silence," Jalen muttered, scanning the trees. "It feels wrong." Mira nodded, keeping her senses sharp. "They're testing us, watching us. They want to see what we're capable of." No sooner had the words left her lips than the air shifted. A chill ran down her spine. From the dense underbrush, figures emerged, dozens of them, cloaked in red energy, moving silently like shadows made of smoke. "They're here," Mira whispered, drawing the shard from beneath her cloak. Blue light spilled out, casting long, trembling reflections across the forest floor. The enemy advanced in a tight formation, circling Mira and Jalen. The lead figure stepped forward, voice like ice. "Mira Turner. The shard belongs to us. Hand it over, and we may let you live." "I will never give it to you," Mira shouted. She raised her hands, sending a pulse of energy that knocked back the first wave of attackers. Jalen lunged forward with his staff, defending Mira as shadows surged at them. The forest erupted in flashes of light and darkness, energy clashing with dark magic, leaves igniting in sparks, the earth trembling with every strike. Mira focused, drawing deeper from the shard than ever before. Arcs of light shot from her fingertips, forming barriers and projectiles that cut through the enemy ranks. She felt the shard responding to her emotions, reacting with a ferocity she hadn't yet controlled. One of the red-cloaked figures broke through, moving toward Jalen. Mira reacted instinctively, slamming a wave of energy into it. The attacker screamed and vanished into shadows, but the force of the blast sent Mira stumbling backward. Jalen steadied her. "Mira, don't overextend. Control it." "I'm trying," Mira shouted, pushing herself to concentrate. She extended her hands again, shaping the shard's energy into a spiraling wall of light. It spun rapidly, deflecting attacks from all directions, giving them a moment to regroup. The lead figure circled them, eyes glowing crimson. "Clever, but power without control is dangerous. You will fall if you push too far." Mira felt the warning deep in her bones. The shard's energy surged uncontrollably, pulling at her, testing her limits. Sweat ran down her face and her arms shook, but she refused to let fear take over. Drawing on every memory, every lesson from her training, Mira centered herself. She focused on the shard's rhythm, letting it flow through her, becoming part of her. The spiraling wall of light steadied, brighter and stronger than before. With a fierce cry, Mira unleashed a concentrated blast, sending the enemy flying back into the trees. One by one, the red-cloaked figures dissolved into smoke, retreating under the power of the star shard. When the last shadow vanished, the forest fell silent again. Mira's chest heaved, exhaustion weighing her down, but relief flooded through her. She had survived the first real attack. Jalen approached, smiling despite his own fatigue. "That was incredible. You controlled it. You really controlled it." Mira looked at her hands, still glowing faintly. "I did, but this is just the beginning. They'll be back, stronger, smarter." Jalen nodded solemnly. "Then we prepare, we train, and we fight. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Mira gazed at the forest, the shadows of the fallen attackers dissolving into the mist. The shard pulsed gently in her hands, as if acknowledging her strength and determination. The first ambush had come and been survived, but the battle for the star shard had only begun. And Mira Turner knew one thing with certainty. She would not falter. The next morning, Mira and Jalen returned to the clearing to continue training. The forest was eerily quiet, almost as if it were holding its breath. Mira's muscles still ached from the previous night's ambush, but she refused to slow down. Every movement, every pulse of the shard brought her closer to understanding its full potential. "Something's wrong," Jalen said suddenly, squinting toward the east. "I can feel it, like eyes watching us." Mira froze, her hand instinctively raising the shard. "They're not done. Last night was just a test." She focused, letting the shard's energy reach outward. Threads of light extended into the trees, sensing disturbances, pulling faint traces of power toward her. And then she saw it, a figure at the edge of the forest, shrouded in shadows, but unmistakably human. The glow of red energy around its eyes marked it as one of the leaders. "They're scouting," Mira whispered. "They're learning our patterns, waiting for the next strike." Jalen clenched his fists. "We need to know who we're dealing with. We can't just keep reacting. We have to be proactive." Mira nodded. The shard pulsed stronger, almost as if agreeing. She focused, sending a thread of its energy toward the figure. Through the connection, fleeting visions flashed in her mind, symbols, maps, and most importantly, a throne-like structure surrounded by countless red cloaks. At the center sat a figure masked in black and gold, holding a shard similar to hers, its energy pulsing like a heartbeat. "That's the leader," Mira said, her voice trembling slightly. "And that shard, it's connected to mine. Somehow, they're drawing power from the same source." Jalen stepped closer. "So this isn't just a group of soldiers. They have someone directing them, someone powerful. If we're going to survive, we need to know their plan." Mira's eyes narrowed. The visions show them moving in coordinated patterns, attacking weak points, gathering artifacts like the shard to strengthen their power. They want more than just me. They want control. A cold realization settled over her. If they collect enough, they could become unstoppable. They could reshape the world into their image. Jalen put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then we can't let that happen. You have the shard, Mira. You're the last line of defense. And together, we'll stop them." Mira clenched the shard tightly, feeling its energy pulse through her. The forest seemed alive, its whispers guiding her. She could sense the danger growing, but she also felt a strange confidence. "They're coming for a confrontation soon," she said quietly. "We'll need more than just training. We'll need strategy, allies, and every ounce of power I can master." Jalen nodded. "Then let's prepare. We don't have much time." Mira looked at the forest beyond the clearing, determination hardening her features. The enemy's leader remained hidden, their intentions shrouded in mystery, but soon everything would be revealed. The war for the Star Shard was far from over, and Mira Turner was ready to face it.
The sky above the forest darkened unnaturally, as if the sun itself feared the coming battle. Mira stood on a hill overlooking the clearing, the star shard hovering just above her palms, its blue glow stark against the encroaching shadows. Jalen knelt beside her, checking their meager supplies and securing their makeshift defenses. "They're moving faster than we expected," Jalen said, scanning the horizon. "I can feel it. They know we're preparing." Mira's eyes narrowed. "It doesn't matter. We'll be ready. We have to be. This is no longer just about protecting ourselves. It's about protecting everyone who doesn't even know they're in danger." The shard pulsed with increasing intensity, almost responding to her thoughts. Mira could feel its energy coursing through her veins, awakening new abilities she hadn't yet fully explored. Flickers of light shot from her hands as she tested the limits, forming shields, barriers, and small bursts of concentrated energy. Jalen looked at her, concern in his eyes. "Don't push too far. Last time it nearly drained you completely." Mira shook her head. "I can feel it now. I'm stronger than before. I can control it, more than ever. But we won't survive if we don't act decisively." Suddenly, the wind shifted, carrying an unnatural chill. Shadows stirred at the edges of the forest. Mira felt the shard's pulse quicken. It was alerting her to the enemy's approach. "They're here," she whispered. From the darkness emerged dozens of red-cloaked figures, moving swiftly and silently. At their center, a tall figure in black and gold armor carried a shard-like crystal that pulsed in rhythm with Mira's star shard. The leader's presence radiated power, a palpable force that pressed against Mira's mind. Jalen stood beside her. "This is it, the first real test. Are you ready?" Mira clenched her fists, the shard flaring brightly.
I've never been more ready. With a cry, she sent a wave of energy outward, forcing the enemy back. The battle erupted immediately. Flashes of blue light clashing with crimson energy, the forest trembling under the force of their power. Mira pushed herself further than ever before, shaping the shard's energy into blades, shields, and barriers. Jalen fought beside her, using his staff to deflect attacks and protect her from the closest enemies. The leader advanced, eyes locked on Mira. You cannot hope to control that power. It will destroy you before you can stop us. I'll decide what it does, Mira said, releasing a concentrated pulse of energy that sent the leader stumbling backward. The star shard pulsed violently, and Mira felt a surge of power unlike anything she had experienced. Her connection to it deepened, revealing visions of past guardians, strategies, and hidden abilities she could now wield. The leader's face, hidden behind the mask, betrayed a flicker of surprise. Impossible, he muttered. Mira's heart raced, adrenaline and power intertwining. She realized this battle was only the beginning, a test of skill, courage, and the bond she shared with the star shard. This ends tonight, she whispered to herself, raising the shard high. No more running, no more hiding. We fight. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Mira's blue light clashed against the crimson of the enemy. The first wave of the real war had begun. The storm was rising. And Mira Turner, bonded with the star shard, would face it head on.
The sky was torn with fire and shadow. The forest shook as Mira stood at the heart of the clearing, the star shard hovering above her palms, glowing brighter than ever. The leader in black and gold stepped forward, his shard pulsating in opposition, casting long crimson shadows across the ground. "You've grown strong, Mira Turner," he said, voice echoing like thunder. "But no power can save you from what's coming." Mira clenched her fists. "We'll see about that. This ends tonight." Jalen stood beside her, staff ready, eyes fierce. "I've got your back, always." The enemies surged forward, a tidal wave of red energy and shadowy figures. Mira raised her hands, and the shard responded instantly, forming a protective dome that pulsed with an almost sentient energy. Sparks of light cut through the enemy ranks, scattering them. But the leader pressed on. With a roar, he unleashed a massive pulse of crimson energy, smashing through trees and earth, forcing Mira to push the shard harder than ever. Pain shot through her arms, her body trembling, but she refused to falter. "You can't control it," the leader yelled, advancing. "It will consume you." "No," Mira shouted, her voice unwavering. "I'm in control." The shard flared violently, blue energy exploding outward, colliding with the leader's crimson power. The forest ignited with light, the ground cracking under the force of their clash. Mira felt every heartbeat, every memory of her ancestors guiding her, every lesson learned in training. Then she saw it, a vision from the shard itself, a single path, a moment of perfect timing, a way to end this. Mira realized she had to merge fully with the shard, letting its power flow through her entirely, or everything would be lost. "I trust you," she whispered to Jalen, who nodded fiercely. "Always." With a deep breath, Mira centered herself and allowed the shard to fuse completely with her being. Light erupted from her body, a blinding, pure blue that seemed to pierce the very sky. The leader screamed, unable to withstand the force, his red aura faltering. "Your tyranny ends now," Mira cried. With a single surge of energy, she struck the leader, the shards of light enveloping him, neutralizing his power completely. His red aura shattered, leaving him powerless, kneeling, defeated. The remaining red-cloaked figures faltered, confused and scared, and Mira directed a controlled wave of energy to disperse them safely, ensuring none were permanently harmed.
Silence fell over the forest. The shard hovered above Mira, glowing gently, as if acknowledging her victory. She felt exhausted, but triumphant. The enemy was defeated, their plans undone, and the world safe once more. Jalen approached, his eyes filled with awe. "You did it, Mira. You actually did it." Mira smiled, tears streaming down her face. "We did it. Together." The guardian's voice echoed softly, though no one was in sight. "You have honored your bloodline, Mira Turner. You protected the shard, and in so doing, protected the world. Your journey has ended, but your legacy begins." Mira looked at the star shard, now calm and steady. She had faced fear, darkness, and unimaginable power, and emerged stronger. She knew that life would continue, that challenges would return, but for now there was peace. Jalen took her hand. "So, what now?" Mira smiled, feeling hope and strength fill her heart. "Now we live, we rebuild, we protect, and we make sure the light we fought for never fades." The sun broke through the clouds, bathing the forest in warm light. The shard pulsed gently, its blue glow reflecting the promise of a new beginning. Mira Turner, the last guardian of the star shard, had faced the storm and emerged victorious. And for the first time in a long time, she felt truly free.